The release of Cyberpunk 2077 was an utter shambles. Regardless at this point of whether you did or didn't enjoy the game for whatever reason, there's no denying that the constant delays, uncertainty from the dev team, marketing team, and upper management, the reaction from players, and the hefty lawsuits that this was the video game release from hell. Originally, I wasn't going to make a video on this game until later down the line. I, like many others, found the game simply unplayable, and I thought it was better to give them the benefit of the doubt rather than talk shit about a game that the developers clearly cared a lot about. I wanted to wait simply for the game to be in a better state. This fumble was of course the result of upper management calling the shots and simply getting it very wrong. But despite that outlook, I feel that after everything that has transpired, all the information we now know, it would be unfair not to put pressure on this company and this behavior. I want to make it clear that nothing I'm about to say is aimed at the people working day and night to produce a game of high caliber. This is not aimed at the people who felt let down and confused by the changing of concepts or the rushing of release. This is entirely aimed at the upper management of CD Projekt Red, the guys who got too big for their boots and decided they were able to make a game twice the quality of The Witcher 3, but in half the time. There is a ton of nuance to game development, and it's not as simple as a lot of people make it out to be. And it's difficult sometimes to critique that process, and it changes drastically from company to company. But I want to try and give some form of response to their response to our frustration, backlash, and loss of trust in a company that many championed as one of the best in the industry. However, let me first talk about our sponsor. This video is sponsored by the online learning community Skillshare. Skillshare offers classes on a bunch of different things. A lot of people have been loving going in and being able to find new ways to spend their time, and that's great to see, as well as supporting the channel with that 2-month free membership. It's super affordable at under $10 a month after that free 2 months, and you're getting access to a ton of classes on things you might want to learn about. You never know the potential career paths that learning these skills could open for you. Also, don't forget the deal is still available to you. The first 1,000 people to hit the link down in the description get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. It's worth checking out even if you don't think it's something you'd necessarily be interested in, because even just by signing up, the free trial helps support me and also gets you access to a world of creativity you might not have ever thought about before. As always, if you do check it out with my link and decide to learn a new skill, tweet the results at me or hit me up on Discord. I'd love to see what you've all been learning how to do using Skillshare. Cyberpunk was delayed a multitude of times, and it's clear to see after the release why this was. I mean, the state of the game, the fact they ever planned to release it in early 2020 is insane to me. How did this ever get approved? It never should have even been approved for late 2020 launch, so it's clear there was direct conflict within the company, because anyone with a right mind would have seen that the game was simply not ready, not even close. And this isn't necessarily about pinning blame or naming names, it's about the principle that this shouldn't have happened to begin with. Obviously, the game launched, and understandably so, people weren't happy. Honestly, the funniest part about this is the people defending this game. I get that even with a buggy experience, some can enjoy shit. I get that. But the amount of people jumping to CD Projekt Red's defense over this is so bizarre. It's so clear to see that the game is fucked. It doesn't matter if you personally can put up with these bugs or you personally didn't get any. The fact of the matter is, the game exists outside of your own experience with it, and that existence is one that's a downright mess. You even have people like Daniel Vavra, the co-founder of Warhorse Studios responsible for Kingdom Come Deliverance, saying things like, "No major bugs and problems. Great game. Best game in years in my honest opinion. Don't get the hate. It looks like fake hysteria by people who didn't even play it and just saw some bullshit on YouTube. The game is in better shape than Skyrim ever was." Comments like this genuinely come across as satire to me, despite probably being genuinely serious. I'm not sure how you can consciously be so blind to obvious issues, but then Kingdom Come Deliverance released in a pretty fucked state itself, so. The bugs, of course, aren't the only issues with the game. Content was cut by the truckload, and it shows. The game itself feels entirely dead. It's devoid of life when this should be the entire focus. NPCs were said to have day and night routines, actual lives that are lived, something Fallout and Elder Scrolls managed decades ago. Yet in Cyberpunk, we see NPCs wander around in circles. The marketing boasts being immersed in Night City, yet you can't even sit on a fucking bench. Your interaction with people is severely limited. The cars you see, the NPCs you see are all duplicated, and the actual extent of content is so minimal it feels like I've jumped back in a time machine and traveled back to the early days of open world games. The bugs only add to this and make Cyberpunk feel like an absolute disaster. The crashes, the low frame rate, the fact that there are entire systems advertised that have been stripped from the game, and the ones remaining aren't even finished. It's like no game I've ever really seen before. It's certainly in a worse state than day one Skyrim, and I'm not even sure how that's an argument. Sony removing it from the PlayStation Store and giving full refunds I think displays just how much of an issue this game was and still is. But that's where the next juicy piece of information comes from. Jason Schreier, the head of Kotaku, who I do genuinely detest for the most part, wrote an article that I'd be a fool to ignore just because of my own personal biases against the man, detailing the development of Cyberpunk 2077 and my god, what a shit show. According to the sources from inside CD Projekt Red, of which there were around 20, state that all development pre-2016 was scrapped. Most devs didn't expect the game to be finished until at least 2022. The engine was still being made mid-development. Since working from home, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One dev kits weren't available, so it made testing those versions impossible. Devs genuinely thought the 2020 release date was a joke because it was simply not doable, and the biggest kicker is that the 2018 demo was fake. Now, I understand that demos for games are usually not the game itself, as things are being changed and development isn't linear. However, they usually isolate a piece of the game, work on polishing it up and showcasing that, called a vertical slice. The difference here is that the game they were making and the demo they were making were separate. They spent months working on a demo so that they had something to show, and the game just sat there. It was an afterthought. The devs said that they felt they were hugely wasting time working on this fake demo when they could have been working on the actual game. This is... I don't even know quite what to say. CD Projekt Red knew the game wasn't ready. They knew there wasn't any part they could actually show. They knew it wasn't going to work for current gen, and they lied through their fucking teeth. It's honestly shocking, and the only time in recent memory we've seen something similar was probably with Assassin's Creed Unity in 2014. A game marketed to look like this next generation leap for Assassin's Creed ended up being a fucking mess of unfinished mechanics, unpolished assets, and an overall broken experience. But that was Ubisoft. We expect shit like that from Ubisoft, as bad as it still was. CD Projekt Red are the good guys, right? Remember the tagline, "Coming when it's ready"? I can understand why players feel entirely betrayed.
CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk 2077. They were going on and on about how they'd create this vast open world with a branching storyline. The feeling of being there, of walking the streets of the future, is really going to be breathtaking. Check this out.
Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed.
Cyberpunk 2077 has moved their April 2020 release date to September of 2020.
Cyberpunk has actually been delayed. Again.
And, fingers crossed the last E3 we'll see Cyberpunk at.
Danny. Fingers crossed.
The way the situation has been handled by CD Projekt Red after launch is far from what I would call ideal. Seeing the video they put out from Marcin Nowinski details vaguely the issues they faced in development, which to me, after everything else we know, comes across as a stone-faced manipulation of the truth. The way he explains these challenges faced sound like challenges that you face during any development process. The issue here isn't the scope of the project, the issue is that you pushed this game out. There's no amount of what we wanted to do was so big and a huge undertaking you can spout that can make any of this make more sense. The only smart option, the only one, was to delay the game further, was to not give a release date when your entire dev team was telling you no, we cannot do this. It's not possible. When you started to rip systems from the game that were already announced, when you had to work from home, which made testing console versions impossible, when you had to fake a fucking demo because the game simply could not be shown in the state it was in, you should have known as the leader of that team that this game was not ready, not even fucking close. This has been the epitome of mismanagement from people who should know better and entirely irresponsible. The game itself at this point doesn't matter to me, but what does matter is the manipulation of an audience of people who trust you for the sole gain of money. It all comes down to money, making as much as possible as soon as possible, and that's not what CD Projekt Red should be known for. A lot of people in the comments 100% will be telling me, it's just a game, bro. But that's not really the point. Yeah, it's just a game. But the issue here is the thought that went into the decisions that led to the failure of the Cyberpunk 2077 release. They wanted as many pre-orders as possible, they straight up lied to consumers, they kept the truth under wraps, reviewers weren't allowed to use their own footage of the game. Only gameplay provided specially by CD Projekt Red, and they continue to come out with these bullshit excuses post-launch. This is more than just a video game. It comes down to the fact that a company that garnered a lot of trust from a lot of people let those people down, lied to those people, and took their money knowing they couldn't possibly live up to the expectations they set for themselves. The roadmap that was shown as part of this video is one of the most vague things I've ever seen. It also shows the next generation console versions to be coming somewhere towards the end of 2021, meaning if by some miracle the game is playable by that point on next gen, the game would have released a whole 12 months before it was actually ready. That is utterly insane to me. There is no way, given all of these pieces of information, that what happened was an accident. The incredibly defensive responses from the studio head, as well as the class action lawsuits against the company for misleading statements made by CD Projekt Red, continue to deepen and make this entire situation worse. Adam Badowski, the head of studio at CD Projekt Red, put out a statement on the fake demo and the misleading information from CD Projekt Red, and the entire thing reads as very, very defensive and was not what I would call a quality response at all. I'll link this as well as all my other sources down below in the description if you want to read up on them. Overall, Cyberpunk is not a game I'm looking to play anytime soon. I actually bought it and got a review code on the same day, so the fact I could refund the one that I bought was great because I do hate getting free things after I already paid for the thing, but that anecdote aside, I still own the game. CD Projekt Red did give me a copy, but it's so unplayable I just don't want to touch it for now. It's a game I might play down the line, if they can fix it to the point where I can actually play the thing, if they can add in elements that should exist, if they can rectify Cyberpunk into a state where it resembles what was advertised, I might play it. But as it stands, what I experienced and after everything that I've seen, I don't want to play this game. Who knows where we'll be in 12 months' time, maybe even more than that. Who knows if we'll see Cyberpunk make an incredible turnaround. Who knows if CD Projekt Red will ever be able to return to the top as the golden boys of this industry. I personally don't see it happening. This release has absolutely tarnished them for me, and I don't know if I'm going to see myself excited for the next Witcher release. The Cyberpunk release itself and the bugs and issues is one thing, but their handling of it has been entirely disingenuous. It's frantic, they seem panicked and have no idea what to do next. My advice, if I had to give them some, would be to settle down, address all the issues that exist, the bugs, the frame rate, the render distance, the unfinished game systems, the parts that were entirely cut, broken, or non-existent. Don't set dates, don't try to rush. The only way you're going to fix your relationship with people who play your games is to deliver. If you set a vague timeline of when people can expect things, you're just gonna fuck it up again. Take your time, focus on what matters. In 12 months, 24 months, you might have a product that you can present to people and say, we're sorry, but now we have something to show for that. Own up to your mistakes, but promise change. Then take your own advice, your own motto. Release it when it's ready. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really didn't intend on talking about Cyberpunk for quite a while. When it came out, I played it. I couldn't really play it because it was so fucking broken and nothing in the game pulled me in enough to push past those bugs. So I thought, fuck it, I'll wait. I'll leave it until, you know, they fix the game. But so much has happened. There's no way I couldn't weigh in on this. It's insane. It's been such a crazy launch for them. It's not something I ever expected. I don't think anyone could have predicted this. So it's really, really wild to see, and I just thought I'd discuss it and talk about it. I really do want to see them turn it around. I'd love for Cyberpunk to be the game they promised it would be, and I'd love for CD Projekt Red to return to the top. I hope this acts as a lesson for these people, because I want to believe the best. I want to believe that this is a complete mistake, but it's very, very difficult to see with all of the evidence that exists. Who knows? 12 months time, we might see a complete turnaround. We might see them in a completely different light, but only time will tell, and I'll be watching with bated breath to see exactly where they go. If I do end up playing Cyberpunk down the line, you can bet I'll probably stream it, because it's not a game that I really see myself sitting and just playing in my own free time, considering it's no longer going to be relevant by that point. But that's something I'll decide closer to the time, and if you want to see me stream other things, or potentially Cyberpunk at some point, then the link to my live streaming channel is in the description. Latest Live is where I do all that stuff, and I'm trying to grow it more this year. I do a bunch of different stuff. stuff, so come tune in. It's great fun. Everyone loves it. We're having a good time. Anyway, don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this game? What do you think about CD Projekt Red? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts regardless. And of course, if you're not doing anything, then go check out some of my other content. I've got plenty. Go have a look. It all exists, and I put as much effort as I can into all of it, so I'd appreciate that. Thank you to everyone on Patreon, as always, and I will see you all very soon, hopefully, for something new. I'll catch you later, everybody. Bye-bye.